Hi there. Hi.
Welcome to the jungle.
Primp it.
Okay, so guys.
So good. Hey guys, we're back again with another video. So in this scenario, you are fully pre-approved. You've worked with your local lender. You've gone out with us a couple times. We find the home that you really fall in love with and you can see your family there or yourself there, whatever the case is. We write an offer. Seller accepts the offer. And then what happens?
You've got 3 days. You've got 3 days to turn in earnest money. What's earnest money? Into escrow. What's escrow? So today we have Cindy Willis from Ticor Title, and she's going to talk about escrow. So what is escrow?
Escrow, I kind of consider us as being the middleman. When we get the sales agreement, we open up our escrow, then we start the title search. When we do a title search, it just lets us know if there's any judgments or liens on the property that we need to take care of, any HOA, anything that we need to clear title. Title is the title insurance you receive when you get your property. It gives you your ownership and it gives you title insurances. What we put on the title report, any liens, easements, anything that shows on that title, it gives you an assurance that we're giving you a clear title when you receive that property as a buyer.
And that's important because
you don't want to have a piece of property that 2 years later or 3 years later down the road, there is a lien or a judgment on that property when you purchased it and you didn't get title insurance. So now that lien is yours to take care of.
You don't want anybody else coming along 5 years later saying they actually own a part of that property as well. So having that title search done and having them go through it and take the time to clear everything is extremely important. They also hold all the funds that go through a transaction. Your earnest money deposit is held there. Your lender will wire all of your funds for your loan to escrow because they are the neutral third party.
Said the neutral third party, they represent the seller and the buyer. So
yes, and we do all the signing. So the seller comes in at a separate time and signs with us, and then we receive the lender documents and we sign our documents and the lender documents all at the same time.
So when you first go into escrow, you've turned in that earnest money, and then later on we get an email that says this is preliminary title. And what should a person look for on that?
On that, you just need to see what kind of easements might be on the property, or if there's HOA, any judgments against the seller or the buyer, and then any kind of liens on the property like mortgages, because those are the things that we need to make sure we get paid off before we close. And we need to make sure we have payments, statements on all those documents before the date of closing.
Now, when you go under contract and we open escrow, you guys actually send the seller and the buyer an ID package.
Yes.
And I get emails, I'm sure you do as well, from people saying, what is this? Is this spam? Why do they want to know this about me? Can you explain what the purpose of the ID package is?
Yes. Those packages, that is just to help us order, like for the seller's packet, it gives us information and authorization to order their payoff. A lot of the time when we try to go to order a payoff with the lender, we need their loan number. We need, a lot of the times the lenders require a signed authorization from the seller so we can even order or even talk to the lender to get that information. So that's why it's so important. And then on the buyer's document, that one too is just important too, because if there is any judgments we're clearing up on the buyer, we need social security numbers, information on that judgment so we can order that. Or sometimes there's something that the lender might ask us to help clear up, and we need that authorization from the buyer or seller.
Especially if you have a common name.
Yes.
If you have a common name, I cannot stress enough that as soon as you get that ID package, you need to get that back to them, because your name will probably pull up all kinds of shenanigans that have nothing to do with you, but they can't prove that it has nothing to do with you until you turn in that package.
Yep.
Yeah. Do your paperwork, please.
It's a hassle, but it does need to be done, and it's a requirement for all parties.
So once we've navigated through all of that and we're getting ready and you've got called the CD. And a lot of times clients will go, what is a CD? Why do they... Do you want to help us with that?
Yeah, a CD is actually, it's called a closing disclosure, and is actually produced from the lender. So that CD needs to go out prior to the buyer coming in to sign. They need to see it and acknowledge it 3 days prior to signing their documents with Escrow. So you'll get that CD disclosure from the lender prior to coming in to close, and it'll kind of give you all your fees that you're going to have and an estimated amount that you're going to bring in to close.
And they use that. They'll balance with the lender as well to be sure that the numbers they have match the numbers that the lender has. So sometimes your agent may forget to turn in an addendum or something like that addressing a closing cost credit from the seller or a price reduction. And sometimes title has it and the lender doesn't. Or sometimes the lender has it and title doesn't. Yeah. It just depends on the given situation. So when they balance, it's so important because then you make sure that you're actually drilling down the proper number. If you need to bring in cash at closing, you of course want the number to be correct. And checked.
Yes.
So that's also part of their job. Then they prepare your deed. And you want to talk about a little bit more about the closing packages and like what you guys what are they signing when they come in to sign with you?
Normally for the buyer, when they're coming in, our documents they're signing our escrow instructions, and that's just allowing us to be that neutral party with everybody in the transaction. The buyer will initial the deed just to verify what we have their name correctly on the deed, because that will be the document that gets recorded and puts you in vesting. And then there's just the title report. You're going to review that. Buyers, we always review the title report with them so they understand any of the easements on the property. And then pretty much there's couple more other documents that are just kind of miscellaneous documents you're going to sign, and then we have your lender documents that we're going to be signing. So the lender documents are the big documents.
They're the long ones.
They're the long documents.
That's the big package.
Yeah. And usually you've gotten a prelude to that because they send out a package to you earlier. And it's very similar to that big old stack.
It's about an hour. I mean, for a seller, it's probably...
We always estimate about 30 minutes for a seller for signing, and then for a buyer, we say 45 minutes to an hour.
So it does take a little bit of time.
So once you sign and you have all that paperwork, take us to the end.
Yeah, do I get my keys after I sign on the dotted line? You do not get your keys when you sign. You do not, in Oregon, we are not a table state, so you do not get your keys.
No, the best scenario that Escrow likes is we like to get the lender documents the day or 2 days before signing. And then we like to get the buyer in to sign, and then we like to be able to get documents have to go back to the lender before they will fund the file. So we normally like to have the buyer come in 1 to 2 days prior to closing, then we can get them to sign, send documents back to the lender. And then once the documents are back to the lender, they review them. And then the next day would be the day that we close, and then they give us any kind of conditions, and then once they send us their wire, we have the buyer's funds. The lender is the one that gives us authorization to record. Once we get their wire, then that is when we can actually record. And then once it's recorded, that's official when the keys can be passed.
That's officially when you can get your keys. So typically in a contract, in a real estate contract that we write when you first find the property and you write your agreement, possession is 5 p.m. the day of closing. So usually, sometimes if the house is vacant, if you fund and record in the early afternoon, we can give you your keys. But typically you're looking at a time of 5 p.m. on the day of closing. So it will not be the same day that you sign. Usually, sometimes
we do same day signing.
We do have some same day signings where you sign early, 7:38 in the morning, and that way the lender can have the docs back and they can fund your loan and you can be all wrapped up in the same day. It's a little rushed. It makes rushed. All of us feel a little frazzled and nervous. So hopefully things are running smoothly and they can get their docs with a couple days so they can actually be prepared. One of the least favorite things about same day fundings is the rush you feel, because you're dealing with people's futures and their money and their investments, and you don't want to feel rushed when you're doing that kind of stuff.
Hopefully that's on a Friday or something.
Or the end of the month.
At the end of the month. Right. It's the end of the month. They're on a Friday.
So we prefer to get them in early to sign early, but there's sometimes that CD does not get disclosed early enough, and we are doing those same day sign-in funds.
So let's say I'm a seller and I'm making proceeds off my sale. And when I go in, we talk about that. Do you guys handle the proceeds that are coming back to me? Do I pick up a check from you?
It all depends. We do have a document that the seller signs, and they let us know how they want those funds. With us, we have a choice of printing a check and having them pick it up in our office, or they can do a wire, and then we wire the money to their bank. And we always let all of our sellers know when we do that, the funds would be in their account the next day, not the day of funding.
Right.
And guess what? We have your keys. So
yes.
As soon as you record and that deed is in your name, we will meet you at your house, at your new house with your keys, or you can come and pick them up at the office if something else is going on. But that's typically what happens with your realtor. We'll have your keys, we'll go and open them up and say, hooray!
Congratulations!
Congratulations. So that's kind of it. Thank you so much
You're
for
welcome.
coming here and letting us talk to you about this.
Have a good day.
Bye, guys.
Bye.
Be blessed.